Let's get into the whole Stetson Bennett thing here. Like we might as well, because I think it's a little I'm not here to make excuses for Stetson Bennett, but I do understand where we're at. We're in preseason. You have a quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo who you brought in to be the backup. He's suspended for the first two games. And so you want to see as much as you can from Stetson Bennett in this game, and you will as well next week and in the third game. They're not going to play Matthew Stafford. They're not going to play Jimmy Garoppolo because they want to make sure that Stetson Bennett is ready for the first two games of the season. And so right now you're trying to get everything. These are practice games. These are not real live games. So you want to, if you're going to make the mistakes, you make them in these, situations. But I understand the frustration as well from Ram fans in terms of, look, the Rams spent a 4-round pick on a quarterback who was 26 years old. He's not a developmental, you expect him. He's an older guy. You expect him to come in and be ready to go. That's not the case here. But at the same time, you know, just looking at it, Gilbert, being honest with people is like this is what you want. You want to be able these games are for you to practice, for you to be able to make the mistakes here. And I'm not making any excuses for him. We understand what it was. It might not work out, but right now you're just getting him ready for those first two games because he's gonna be the backup no matter what. That's who the guy is. So I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, these are great points by you because if Jimmy G plays in the preseason, he's one injury away from not having him in these two, or I guess when he comes back, and you need him just in case something happens to Stafford. But those first two games where Jimmy, that's the crappy part for the Rams is like you want Jimmy to be there for all 16, 17 games or 18 in the future, 17 games. And if he's not there the first two, you got to rely on Stetson Bennett because he's again one hit away from being on the field. And what we saw right now, he's not ready to be a number two quarterback. But that's the only options the Rams have, unless they create more options. Because I don't know, maybe you're Sean McVay, you're watching right there, and you're saying, all right, maybe we should bring in another quarterback. Maybe we should have another, plan C, I guess you will call it, in case Bennett is not that guy. Like imagine you're playing the Lions and something happens to Stafford and you got to throw in Stetson Bennett. He's not ready for that. So,
Yeah.
but when you think about it, but it's also like a little dangerous, like because you're thinking it's only two games. Stafford should be good for two games, right?
Yeah.
So you don't think about another option there to bring in more competition. So I want to say McVay's probably thinking, okay, we got three games right here in the preseason. It's been terrible this, first game. I want to give him credit for the first series. There was a 4th and 1. He ran a little bootleg or ran a little design run, and he got the first down. I think there was like a bootleg where he threw to Jordan Whittington. Like when he's on the move, I think for him, like when he's moving around, he's not thinking as much. So if you're doing more and showing off your legs, and you're kind of just playing backyard football, he does better with that. I know there's kind of comparisons. Well, I shouldn't compare him because he's not close to that right now. But Baker Mayfield needs to be out on, or even early Jared Goff days. We had to be on the bootlegs, moving around a lot. Like if you do that, he might be okay. But then the mental game, man, when you're making a mistake, it starts piling up for the guy. But if we get to preseason game number 2 against the Chargers next week, and he's doing the same mistakes, same rookie mistakes, and or like inexperienced mistakes, like you mentioned, Victor, you were drafted because of your collegiate experience. You won 2 national titles, and you can't even provide that, and you're still making mistakes. Like you're 20 years old. Then you got to think about cutting the guy and bringing somebody else. But I say that Chargers game has been critical for Stetson Bennett in terms of his tenure with the Rams here. If he's having another stinker like that against backup defenses, you got to think about something else when it comes to those 2 games without Jimmy G.
Yeah, and I thought they did a really good job. And I don't know if it was Sean McVay calling the plays early in the first quarter, and then because I know that McVay likes to hand off his play calling to his offensive coordinator during the preseasons, but in those first couple of drives, I did like the fact that they had him on the move, like you said, because he's a smaller guy. You need him. If you're gonna with the smaller guy, you want to put him in bootlegs. You want to be putting him on the move, so that way he's able to get a better vision in terms of where he needs to put the ball as well. But I like I said, I'm not trying to make excuses for him. At the end of the day, you knew what you signed up for. Like he's an older quarterback, so. But like I said, I'm not gonna panic here, and I'm with you. If it doesn't work out, which is kind of it feels weird saying this, but the two backup quarterbacks for the Chargers and the Rams, they're going to be highlighted in this game because there's also a lot of talk about moving on from their backup in Easton Stick there. So I mean, this is gonna. I
Yeah.
usually don't pay attention to storylines when it comes to preseason, but I think Stetson Bennett versus Easton Stick is going to be something to kind of pay attention because both guys might not even be the backups for game one if the trend continues after both fan bases are not happy with their backups as of right now.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like two guys were just getting a lot of opportunities for some reason. And Easton Stick, I covered him. He's a nice guy, but it's like you're in year 5 now. You got a couple games to start last year. You didn't really do well. You're not doing well in the preseason. I don't get the Chargers thinking on that front there, and that's a bigger problem because he is your number 2. But
Yep.
Stetson also he got another opportunity after what like if most players I think if you like kind of have like where you just disappear for a couple of days or you're gone for a month, people are like, okay, we'll get out of here. We don't want to see you. So I don't know what that means for the Rams. Maybe they think that highly of him, like, hey, if you needed kind of a mental reset, we're gonna give it to you. We'll bring you back with open arms. Or maybe, hey, you were kind of costly as a 4th round pick. Let's overlook it. Let's move on. You won 2 national titles with a very good defense. Let's add it right there. And a lot of talent there for Stetson Bennett. But at some point the excuses and opportunities are gonna run out. And when you can't even be trusted to be the emergency plan to the backup because the backup can't play for 2 games. What are we doing here? At some point, you got to have like a guy like I just watched some play earlier, or maybe 2 days ago, Tyson Bagent, where he just came out of nowhere, undrafted rookie.
Yep.
Beat the Raiders and had a couple decent games. Like if you could just do that to be decent for a couple games, you could be trusted to be on the roster. Then do it. But he didn't win national titles. He wasn't drafted. Stetson Bennett did. So from that kind of like hard ass mentality, it's kind of like wake up already, man, and do something on the field.
Yeah, and I totally understand that from coming even like I said, I don't blame Ram fans for feeling this way. I totally understand, but I also just kind of looking at it and kind of stepping back. I understand what Sean McVay is doing, and I'm sure post game he's gonna talk. He's gonna make it sound really good and say what, hey, I put him in those situations. He's gonna put the blame on himself, and then he's gonna say we expect better from Stenson Bennett. But just kind of, as before we leave here, Gilbert, I just want to talk about some other players that kind of did really